I never knew my grandmother. She died 3 months before I was born. But on my 30th birthday, I received a letter from a law firm. My grandmother had left me something. A house. Not just any house. A Victorian mansion in rural Vermont. A place no one in my family had ever mentioned. It was like it never existed. I called my mother. "Did you know about this?" There was a long silence. "Your grandmother's side was complicated. We didn't discuss her properties. Some things are just left unsaid. Left unsaid." That phrase would haunt me for months. I was 30, working a soul-crushing job. My life was beige. Beige apartment, beige cubicle, beige everything. But a house in Vermont? That was fate. That was destiny. That was my fresh start. The drive was beautiful. Autumn leaves burning red and gold. 6 hours from Boston, watching the city fade into nothing but forest. The property appeared suddenly. A driveway 1/2 mile long, lined with overgrown hedges. The house emerged from the mist. Victorian architecture, 3 stories, turrets on both corners. Paint peeling in long strips. Windows dark like eyes watching me approach. The key was old, ornate brass. It fit perfectly. The door swung open slowly, creaking. The smell hit me. Not bad exactly. Musty, but something else. Lavender? No. Something floral but wrong. Artificial. The smell of decades of closed windows and stagnant air. The main hallway was dark. I switched on my flashlight. The walls were pale yellow, faded into something sickly. Old furniture everywhere, covered with white sheets like sleeping giants. But then I saw the eyes. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Dolls. Antique porcelain dolls from every era. Victorian dolls with ringlets. 1920s flapper dolls. 1950s dolls with painted smiles. They were positioned everywhere. On shelves, in chairs, standing against walls. But they weren't random. There was organization, deliberation. Each doll had something attached. Tags. Small white tags tied with red ribbon. I picked up the nearest one. My hands trembled. The tag read, "Eleanor, born 1908, loved her garden." Another, "Margaret, born 1937, feared the dark." Another, "Catherine, born 1961, dreams of travel." These were specific people, specific lives. Each tag written in careful handwriting, elegant, precise, meticulous. Each described something intimate. Not just a name, but an essence. I moved deeper. The parlor held 200 dolls. The dining room was lined with them. Upstairs, more dolls. In bedrooms, closets, studies. And then I found the kitchen. Modern, renovated. But on the kitchen table was a package, wrapped in craft paper. My name written in that same careful handwriting. I opened it with shaking hands. A leather-bound journal. Thick, old, every page filled with handwriting. Decades of pages. The first entry was dated 31 years ago, 3 months before I was born. The child arrives soon. I can feel her presence like a vibration in the air. She doesn't know yet, but I've been preparing this house for her arrival. She needs a guide. The dolls are ready. Each one represents a life not lived, a choice not made. When she's old enough to understand, they will teach her. There are no accidents, only inevitability. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the journal. This was impossible. My grandmother died before I was born. How could she have entries about me? I flipped forward. Each entry was dated, methodical, starting vague, then becoming more specific. Year 2. The child laughs at a photograph of the ocean. She will never travel far from land. Water frightens her. I ensured this. Year 5. She wanted to join the soccer team. I sent the appropriate signals. She will not be a girl who plays sports. She will be controlled. She will be perfect. Year 8. The boy from school tried to befriend her. His intentions were impure. 3 days later, he transferred schools. She thinks it was her own choice. Year 13, she's becoming a woman. I need to be present, not visible, but present. I've taken to sitting in the coffee shop she frequents. 2 tables away. She's never noticed me. She never will. I slammed the journal shut. My heart was pounding. This was insane. This had to be a hoax. But then I opened it again. I had to understand. The entries became more detailed. My grandmother had documented my entire life. Every major decision. Every relationship. Every moment I thought I was making a choice. Year 16. She wanted to go to California for university. The letters I sent ensured she'd stay on the East Coast. She'll never know it came from my hand. Year 22. The man from work proposed. I left a photograph on her car windshield. A photograph of him with another woman, digitally altered. She ended the relationship. He moved to Seattle 6 months later. Year 27. She's moved into apartment 4B on Elm Street. I have a room at the boarding house across the street. From the window, I can see directly into her kitchen. I watch her cook breakfast every Sunday at 7:47 a.m. Always the same time. Always eggs and toast. The rhythm is beautiful. There were photographs too. Photographs of me. But taken from angles I didn't recognize. From a distance. By someone hiding. A photograph of me at 12, playing in a park. In the corner, slightly out of focus. A woman, sitting on a bench. Watching. That was her. That was my grandmother. There were dozens like this. Me at the grocery store, someone watching in the background. Me walking to work, a car parked across the street. Me at a restaurant, a figure at the counter. A lifetime of surveillance, a lifetime of orchestration, a lifetime of me thinking I was free when someone else was pulling the strings. The last entries were frantic, almost religious. She's getting close to understanding her purpose. The dolls whisper to me at night. Soon she'll come to the house. Soon she'll find this journal. She'll understand that she was never really hers. She was always mine. The final entry was dated 1 week before my grandmother died. Today I felt the angel's touch. I'm dying. But it doesn't matter. The work is done. Sarah is perfect. And now, through this journal, through the dolls, through this house, I will never truly leave her. She will feel my presence in every room. She will hear my voice in her head during every decision for the rest of her life. I've won. Even in death, she will be mine. I don't remember driving to the police station. I was sitting under fluorescent lights, a detective across from me looking like I was insane. Your grandmother documented your entire life in a journal? Yes. And you think she was watching you? She was watching me. I have photographs. He looked at them. These are blurry. I see a woman, but it could be anyone. You can't prove it's her. But the journal, she admitted to manipulating my life. She admitted to stalking me. Past tense. She's not going to do it anymore. What do you want me to do? I left without answering. He was right. Legally, she hadn't done anything prosecutable. She'd watched, influenced, controlled. But how do you prosecute that? How do you prove it? That night I called a realtor. I want to sell the house. Cut the asking price in half. I don't care. I want it gone. 2 days before closing, the realtor called. The new buyers are experiencing something unusual. They want to cancel. The house is occupied. We see things. Dolls keep appearing in places they weren't before. They removed all the dolls. This morning, one was sitting on their daughter's bed, and they found something. In the basement, behind a wall. A hidden room, full of photographs, thousands of them. Organized, with dates, Names. I don't understand what I'm looking at. I hung up. That night I realized something. A hidden room, thousands of photographs. The journal mentioned something I'd missed. There are 73 of them now. 73 lives touched by my hand. 73 souls shepherded toward their destiny. The dolls keep them safe. As long as the dolls exist, I exist. As long as the dolls exist, I can guide them. The next morning I drove to the library. Newspaper archives. 6 hours of microfilm. I found an article from 1974. Local woman's disappearance remains unsolved. Margaret Ashford, 19, vanished from her home. Her mother found her diary. Multiple entries about feeling watched and controlled. Police investigating. No evidence of foul play. I kept searching. Police reports. Strange incident at local school. Daniel Morrison, 16, being stalked by an unidentified woman. Notes in his locker. Teenager's sudden illness. Baffles doctors. James Fletcher, 14, fell into a coma. No prior health conditions. The articles multiplied, then stopped. Around the time my grandmother disappeared from records completely, but I kept finding obituaries, people who died young, unexpectedly, all from the area surrounding the house. Each date corresponded with entries in my grandmother's journal. I don't know when I started finding dolls in my apartment. Tuesday morning, kitchen table. Doll I didn't own, wearing a dress identical to one I own. The tag read, Sarah, now, always. I threw it away. Then another appeared, in my bedroom, on my pillow, then my bathroom. Within a week, 7 dolls, all with the same tag, all with my name. I called the detective. He came, looked at the dolls, called a psychologist. I think you're experiencing dissociation, stress-induced, placing these dolls yourself and forgetting. But I wasn't placing them. I knew I wasn't. The nightmares started, waking to dolls surrounding my bed, dolls whispering in a voice like my own, telling me things about myself I never told anyone. We know you. We've always known you. We'll always know you. I stopped going to work, stopped leaving except for essentials, installed cameras everywhere. The cameras showed nothing, no one entering, no dolls being placed, yet they continued to appear. I called my mother. Did you know about grandmother? What she did? Long silence. I don't know what you're talking about. But I heard fear in her voice. Recognition. I have her journal. She was watching me, manipulating me. Stop. Don't say it out loud. I can't discuss this. You don't understand what she did before you were born. Then make me understand. It started with her mother. My mother became obsessed with it. The idea of complete control, complete knowledge. She thought she could be God for people she loved. She thought if she watched closely enough, influenced things just right, she could prevent them from making mistakes. So she did this to you. Yes, and I let her, because I was afraid. And eventually, I started to believe it was love. It's not love, it's abuse, it's stalking. I know what it is, but it's over now. She's dead, she can't hurt you anymore, but she was wrong. I returned to the house. The sale had fallen through. I went directly to the basement. The hidden room was exactly as described. Photographs lining every wall. A system, a taxonomy. Each photograph labeled with a name, a date, a description, like specimens in a collection. And I recognized some of the names, from news articles, missing persons, unsolved disappearances, unexpected deaths, accidents that shouldn't have happened. My grandmother hadn't just watched and manipulated. She'd influenced, orchestrated. When people didn't follow her path, they disappeared. And then I realized the photographs weren't all old. Some were recent, from this year. Some of these people were still missing. I called the police. The investigation found 73 complete files, 73 lives documented, 73 fates chosen. Only 3 of those 73 people are alive today. The dolls haven't stopped appearing. 2 years now, in my car, my apartment, once in my locked office. I've stopped trying to understand how. I've accepted that my grandmother, even in death, has found a way to maintain control. I don't sleep anymore, but sometimes I black out. Moments where I lose time, minutes or hours just gone. I wonder, if I can't control when I lose time, what am I capable of doing during those moments? Recently, I researched my family history further back, before my grandmother. I found something troubling. My great-grandmother had several children, but only my grandmother survived to adulthood. The others died, young, unexpectedly, in ways that seemed almost guided. And my great-grandmother kept detailed records, observations, predictions, and dolls. So many dolls. It wasn't just my grandmother. It was a legacy, a tradition, a curse running through my family like a disease. My mother probably has journals too. Probably has dolls. Probably has her own collection of controlled lives, which means I might have inherited more than just a house. I've started keeping journals, just like she did, just like her mother did. At first, involuntary. I'd sit down and suddenly be writing pages in handwriting that looked almost like hers, describing people I see, people I observe, people I know things about that I shouldn't know. Then I realized something that made me want to scream. I have a sister, 14 years old, 3 hours away, but I drive past her house sometimes. I tell myself it's coincidence, that I'm not deliberately routing my drives to pass her street, but I am, and sometimes I sit in my car across from her school, watching students file out at 3 p.m., watching for her face in the crowd, thinking about her life, about the choices she's about to make, about how I could prevent her from making mistakes, how I could guide her, protect her, control her. It's happening to me. I can feel it. The same obsession that consumed my grandmother is taking root in my mind, and I can't stop it. I don't know if I want to stop it. Maybe, like my mother said, I'm starting to believe it's love. If you're listening and any of this sounds familiar, if you've ever felt watched, if you've ever felt like someone knows you too well, if you've ever wondered how someone could predict your choices before you make them, you need to leave. You need to disappear, because the only people who've ever escaped from a family like mine are the ones who are dead. And I'm beginning to suspect that some of them didn't have a choice in the matter. The worst part is, I'm not even sure if I'm warning you, or if I'm just documenting, like she did, like they all did, like I'm beginning to do. Maybe you're not really hearing this story. Maybe you're just a doll, just another face in a collection, just another life being observed, documented, and ultimately controlled. Maybe we all are.